And then I remember I was over in Edinburgh for it was Northern Ireland first, but that's, played a bit of rugby, did a bit there, went to Edinburgh. And that's when I fell in love with cocktails and cocktail bars, which sort of started the whole thing. I remember I was eating Weet-Bix at the time. I lived in Edinburgh. I was on someone's couch from Northern Ireland who I don't know if he really wanted me there, but he was being polite. And I was just like, I think I worked at Castlemaine Brewery, so in the fucking mailroom. Like, you think of the most boring place. You go to work at 8, it's dark. I'm giving out mail. I think there was other guys there who were not being rude, but were there for a reason. And I was this young Aussie boy down there just delivering and collecting. I was like, there's more to life. And I was walking down George Street in Edinburgh. Have you been there?
In Edinburgh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been to Edinburgh. I can't remember which street George Street is. I've been down the Gold.
It's just beautiful. You've got like the castle up top that's out of an extinct volcano. It's stunning. And I walked past this cocktail bar and I went, fuck. I was 100 metres past. I went, I'm going to go back there and ask for a job. And I remember I walked the way back and I just went to the guy. I said, who's the manager? He goes, I'm the manager. I said, dude, I've been here for a while. I'm working this shit job at Castlemaine Brewery. I want to work here. I've been there once before. It's a really cool cocktail bar. And, I want to learn. And he's like, mate, are you Australian? Yeah. Are you single? Yeah. Well, there's really hot chicks on this side of the bar, even hotter chicks on that side of the bar. You got to fit in. And I was just like, do I get the job? And he's like, start Friday. So from there, I sort of got into the whole cocktail scene and mixology.
Okay.
And it started my passion again. I do glassy and all that kind of stuff in Australia where I started. But it started
you'd worked at pubs, right?
Yeah. I worked at a pub. I remember I was pouring a beer in Spring Hill for this guy. I just kept stuff. I couldn't pour a beer without saving myself. And he'd literally peer around the corner every time I was pouring. I'd just shake and just F it up. I think he fired me on the second day.
Really?
And said, mate, you're not going to make it in hospitality. I was like, oh, shit, all right. And then I went and glassied at a place called Fridays, which is like 3,000 people.
Fuck.
But even then, I was like, I want to be the best glassy. So I literally used to stack up the biggest thing and walk through the crowd with this massive thing of like stacked rocks glasses and beer glasses and all that kind of stuff. And then, so it's always been, hospitality's always been around me.
Why do you think, what was it about hospitality for you?
Hospo for me was, I guess I found myself being more of a people person. I'm not good at studying, reading, applying myself to those kind of things. I remember I was the kind of guy at school who'd do his homework on the last night. I tried uni.
What did you try at uni?
So I tried electronic engineering.
Really?
So my old man said to me, Tom, I think you need to make some... I called him from Noosa. And I was out partying. Dad, read me some options. This is really bad. And then he goes, mate, I'm not impressed. I said, mate, Dad, read me some options because I needed to make a decision. And he read out a few things. I didn't get the best OP. So I don't know what the grading is here.
It's all ATAR now, I think. But back then it was a VCE when I did it.
Yeah, right.
But we all had our own separate... Now it's all a universal thing called ATAR.
Okay.
I think.
So OP, so overall position. So number 1 was your best, which, you got a few of those in your school. 26 was the worst. I was 16.
Okay.
So I wasn't at school really to apply myself. I loved my friends and hanging out, and I got through, but the whole study. Anyway, so he ended up in Toowoomba, electronic engineering, which I knew nothing about, which I in
Toowoomba as well.
Yeah, and then I went, fuck, what can I do next? I tried primary teaching.
Okay.
And then it could have worked. And then I remember I started playing rugby up there, got focused on that, worked in a pub. And I remember I turned up to this shoot and the lady goes, who are you? Oh, I'm Tommy. Oh, Tom back then. Thomas McIntosh. She goes, Thomas, you missed the first 6 tutorials. So that means you basically failed. I was like, oh, okay. And she walked in and walked out, and that was my university experience.
Wow.
But I stayed up there for a year. We won the under-19 premiership and made heaps of good mates.
Well, it sounds like rugby was like a big thing for you back then.
Yeah, it was a little bit. I wasn't ever... my brother was awesome. I was okay. But it was just a good social thing. You know? So I went to a school. You played it, started under 7s. It was always that social sort of aspect and teamwork and all that kind of jazz. So
when you were in Europe, particularly the UK,
yep.
How did the Tommy Collins nickname come about?
It's fun. So Tommy Collins sort of came about, I guess in the UK it's a lot more respected, but without that total flair sort of stuff. Like it's mixology, so you can win big prizes like a couple of £1,000, like diamond rings worth £1,000. I won a trip to London, all expenses paid for me and 5 mates. So it was kind of cool. So it just sort of had that Tommy. I drank a lot of Tom Collinses at the time. Tommy Collins sort of came about. So yeah, it just sort of stuck with me. And then when we were starting the company, I'd started a thing called Tommy Collins Cocktails originally. I just thought it's cool. It's a good name. It was sort of this. The idea was a bit more of this sort of dude, Tom Collins. It wasn't me. It was like an
archetype, persona.
Persona, yeah.
Yeah.
Who sort of rocked up to your house and just sort of made cocktails and did his thing.
Yeah. And that was that.
Yeah,
it's an interesting one. Tom Collins is a brilliant drink for anyone who hasn't had it. I know that looking back at just the early beginnings, I found it really funny learning about how you guys kicked this off. Like I know that you're working at a cafe, which mind you, was this the Coin Laundry?
No, so it was a cafe who did catering also called Treat.
Okay, does it still exist?
No. Oh, I think the catering company do. They still sort of swim about a little bit. But the cafe is now Mammoth.
Okay.
So on the corner of Beatty and Malvern.
Okay. Yeah, because I thought for some reason I saw you at Coin Laundry like way back when I was like 18.
We looked at it.
Yeah.
So the week after we opened Little Ox, we got offered the Coin Laundry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we were just like, shit, we just spent all the money building this, which wasn't like was why it was so good. But we were just like, nah. And then the boys who have got Tall Timber, all those things, Port of Call, all those ones, that was him.
Oh,
so
really?
Steve Rowley and his business partners. So yeah,
I'd love to chat to him.
He's a good guy. So he's obviously got frank body and he's good looking and like
doing everything.
He can just piss off. Steve Rowley, if you're listening, you can piss off. You're too good looking and too successful. Eat a bag.
I found it really funny,
joking.
Seeing how you roped in Ben to doing this. Does he ever give you the shits about the fact that you stopped him from getting into construction?
No, it's so Benny, business partner, the main business partner we sort of had throughout the years. I'd been to Edinburgh and come back, moved to Melbourne, met him, managed one of his bars that he had at a young age, and then he left, went over to Edinburgh and came back, and that's another story. We got into coffee and all that jazz. But he got back and he was trying to get into building, construction.
Yeah.
And that's where this first sort of job came about. Our first client popped up to the window. Felicity, how are you? And she was all upset because someone had pulled out of her son's 18th, which I think was one of the bigger catering companies in Melbourne, who I hadn't heard of. I didn't know what catering was at that time. Right. And I was like, Flick, don't worry about it. I can sort this out for you. So I called up Benny and just said, mate, we'll go around to Felicity's place. Let's see what she's got. And we ended up sort of sat down with her. It was quite a big event, big 18th, that, we sort of pulled off within 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah,
we had a marquee down on the tennis court. It was a beautiful home in Toorak.
Dukes of Hazzard theme.
Yeah, Dukes of Hazzard theme, yeah. So I had a couple of girls dressed as Daisy Duke on arrival. A couple of my good-looking mates, Cam and Ben, were like the brothers out the front with the hats. So I sort of roped in all my mates just to help out and collected all these hay bales from out the thing and just put on a really good event. We ran a parents' party and the kids' party, and they sort of gelled together, 2 different menus. We weren't catering at the time. We outsourced the catering.
Okay.
And then, that was our first event. It was massive. So we pulled it off.